Yo, what is up? It's your boy, Mr. Tomato, back with a stream. And if you're reading the title, it's a prediction for the playoffs this year for football. And what people don't know about me, at least people watch my video, I'm a big football fan. I am a diehard 49er fan. I always will be. Except I live in Colorado, so it makes it kind of tough to step outside, if you will, with my Kittle jersey on. But anyway, we're doing the freaking NFL playoff predictions. And these are what I think are the most accurate predictions. Each game, I base them on past matchups, their rosters, their weaknesses, their strengths, all that crap. So that's what we're going to do. And of course, we're going to start the very first game that is scheduled, and that is the Ravens versus the Titans being played in Tennessee. And obviously, if we're going by past matchups, the Titans doing pretty good. Of course, we know what happened in the divisional last year. Ravens fell apart. Titans just completely dominated the Ravens, and that led to a Titans appearance in the AFC Championship where they lost. But during the regular season this year, once again, the Titans came out on top, and Derrick Henry, Jesus Christ, what a season for that guy. 2,000 plus rushing yards. Are you kidding me? And I feel like that's going to be the problem with the Ravens defense. They've got a fantastic defense, Marlon Humphrey. They've got Calais Campbell. They've got guys like that. And that's how they got to stop that high-powered Titans offense. But even if they don't stop the Titans offense, it's okay because the Titans defense is pretty bad. They do not have a good defense whatsoever. And that is where, but the thing is, the Titans defense doesn't seem to play well against Lamar Jackson and company. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think the Ravens win this one. And I think it's because the Ravens, they got hot at the very end of the year. If you want to look at their games from this year, you want to see, okay, so what happened was at the very end of the season, where the Baltimore Ravens, they finished the season off on a 5-game winning streak. They're getting hot at the perfect time, playoffs, and they've got a revenge matchup. That just gives them more to play for. I mean, they finished the season beating the Cowboys, they beat the Browns, they beat the Jaguars, Giants, Bengals. Those, of course, you look at those teams, they aren't really the best besides the Browns that made the playoffs. Yes, they're hot. And all those wins pretty much dominate except for the Browns. And honestly, I think that the Titans defense, as I've said there, it's not good. They just don't have that good of a defense. They're going to struggle, I think. And I think the Ravens are going to be ready for this one. I think Lamar Jackson, the reason that the Ravens just didn't win the playoffs the last 2 years, just didn't win a game, is because he was nervous. I think this year he shakes off the dust, He delivers, if you will. And I think that this is going to be a game. So I'm going with the Ravens. If I had to choose a score, this is going to be a high-scoring game. I would go 35-31 Baltimore. And I think the Ravens finally, they get past that hump in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's it. The Ravens are going to win, and they're off to the divisional. And I think it's going to be, that's going to be one of the most fun games to watch this playoff. It's going to be high scoring. It's going to be fun. But ultimately, the Titans' defense is going to be their downfall. They just don't have a defense. Even if Henry was for 200 plus, the defense just come up with it is right now very, very hot. Okay, and we're not exactly in any particular order when it comes to games, like times. So the next game we're still in the AFC, Colts and Bills. So if there's actually a team that I would pick in the AFC to stop the Bills right now, I would go with the Colts. They've got the defense to do it for sure. The acquisition of DeForest Buckner from the 49ers, and as a 49er fan, really wish he was still with us. We might have had a chance to battle in that tough NFC West, but he's gone. But anyway, DeForest Buckner helping the Colts become an elite defense in the NFL. And that's why I think the Colts really do have a pretty good chance to beat them. But then again, the Bills, very hot right now. We saw what they did against the Dolphins, who were playing for a playoff spot. 56-20. Yeah, that's really ugly. And I think this offense is so dynamic. Stephon Diggs, holy crap, what a year by that guy. Josh Allen looking like an all-pro quarterback right now. And their defense is good. You got Davis. right. You got all these guys on the offense and defense. It's such a balanced team. This is the best the Bills have looked since going to the Super Bowl 4 straight times in the '90s and losing all of them. And it's just this is a year that you want the Bills to win. And when I go with my heart list, when I go Bills, when you go stat wise, it's the Bills, and that's why I'm going with the Bills. I think the Colts have a great defense. They might be able to slow Josh Allen down a bit, but I don't know how Jonathan Taylor's going to do. I mean, this Bills run defense isn't exactly the best, right? But once again, like the Titans and Ravens, it could become high scoring, but ultimately the Bills are the better team. They're better, well-rounded, solid, and that is why I've got to go with the Bills. Okay, next team, we're going to go to the NFC side of things, and that is a divisional matchup of the Rams and the Seahawks. I'm pretty excited for this one. I mean, the Rams might not have Jared Goff. That could change a lot of things. Von Wolford, he got a win 18-7, and it was against the Cardinals team that basically didn't have Kyler Murray, so keep your expectations on Wolford. But the thing is, luckily, this Rams team has a very great defense. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, obviously, those two guys lead one of the best defenses in the conference for sure, maybe even the league. And honestly, I think that's what's going to carry them. And what we've seen is that the Rams do play decent against the Seahawks. And Russell Wilson just hasn't been playing his best football as of late. I think we've noticed that, right? I think it's just they're getting wins, but Wilson isn't exactly playing that good, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. And he's going up against this Rams defense. I mean, if you're going to line guys, obviously DK Metcalf comes to mind. I mean, that dude is just, holy crap. He's the Calvin Johnson of 2020. And he will be the Calvin Johnson. I think he's just that good. But he's probably going to match up against Jalen Ramsey. It's not an easy matchup by any means whatsoever. And so, based on that, if Jared Goff is playing, let me tell you, I have to go with. It's so close. I have to go with the Seahawks, guys. I don't like the Seahawks. It's a 49er fan. I hate the Seahawks with all my heart, but unfortunately, with the Rams injury, no Jared Goff, it's not going to be easy for them. And in that way, it's just, I have to give it to the Seahawks. I don't really want to give it to any one of these teams, but I choose between the Rams and Seahawks with my heart. I would go Rams, but ultimately I can't go against the Seahawks. They're just a better team right now. And that is why Seahawks get the dub. And my favorite matchup to predict right now, Buccaneers and friggin' football team, guys. The last time a losing record won the playoffs, it was the 2014 Carolina Panthers, 7-8-1. This time it's 7-9 against this one. You know what's crazy? Is if I don't know why the Eagles beat the Steelers, or they throw that game for a draft pick, but the way I see it, if they beat the football team, I almost said their other name, the 6-10 Giants make the playoffs. That's even more crazy. But yeah, the thing is that Washington isn't that bad of a team. Granted, they're probably the worst playoff team, I guess, besides the Bears to make the playoffs. They don't really have a QB, on the offense. All they really have is Terry McLaurin. You've got Antonio Gibson. That's it. They've got a very talented defense. This is a great front seven. Secondary is meh, but it's still a very talented defense. But the problem is that they're going up against a Buccaneers defense that's also very talented. And Alex Smith, I think, is just going to have so much trouble. I think he's going to throw a few picks. I think they get one or maybe even two defensive touchdowns. It's going to be a very dominant game. I think Washington just doesn't get going. They're going to have plenty of trouble. And that is why I have to get the nod of the Buccaneers. It's going to be, I think, a pretty dominant win. Washington could surprise us, like let's say the 2010 Seahawks. They were 7-9. They had Matt Hasselbeck at QB, and what happened? Marshawn Lynch went beast. Of course, everyone knows the beast quick run, most famous runs in history of the NFL, occurred, and they beat the Saints, which was pretty funny. But yeah, but I don't think that happens this year. I think it's just going to be a win for the Buccaneers. So, football team, you made it to the playoffs. Congratulations, representing the worst division probably in the history of the league, in the history of the entire NFL. Buccaneers come out of this one. Next game, we have got the Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints. As I said, besides the football team, the Chicago Bears are not that good of a football team. They're just not. They've got a good defense. Khalil Mack, I don't know, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller. These are some good guys. They've got a very talented defense. Great secondary. Okay, good front segment. They got Akeem Hicks up there. But, however, you can't. The games they won in the season, the Texans, the Jaguars, teams that suck. And David Montgomery had a very great end of the season rushing. He was looking like one of the best running backs in the league in that span. But like we said, Texans, Jaguars, those aren't good teams. Now he's going to get a reality check. He's about to get exposed against the Saints defense. It's very formidable against the run. They're so good against the run. And at this point, they can't rely on Montgomery against this run defense. I think their defense they're going to have trouble against Drew Brees. And it's ultimately going to come down to the big man, Mitch Trubisky. I'm sorry. This is going to be a pretty easy win, I think, for the Saints. And against the Saints, they find a way to either get screwed by the refs or screwed by themselves. I don't know. I think this year they just come out of it pretty easily in the wild card weekend. Super wild card weekend. I think they beat the Bears pretty handily. I don't think the Bears get double-digit points. I think Trubisky, not even 200 yards, maybe one touchdown, but no, or like 3 picks. I think the final score of this game, I'll give a 26-13 win for the Saints. I think they dominate this game from the start to the finish, and they were off to the divisional round pretty easily. And that is why, it's just going to be an easy win for the Saints. As for the Browns and the Steelers, the final game, let's be honest, both these teams should not have the records they should have had. They're good teams. Yeah, they're good teams. Are they 12-4 and 11-5 good? No. They're 10-6, 9-7 good. You know why? They played the NFC East. That's some easy wins right there. And the Steelers lost to the football team. Maybe the football team actually is a good team after all. Maybe because they beat the Steelers. But, yeah, the Browns barely beat a practice squad Steelers team just last Sunday. That's pretty embarrassing. And honestly, when they're going up against this defense, and I think Big Ben has a decent game, you put those things together, and it's a one and done for the Browns. Congrats, you made the playoffs for the first time in 18 years, but you're gone after round 1. I think the Steelers win this one pretty handily. Okay. And honestly, yeah, it's just I think it's not going to be that close of a game, in my opinion, just because, it's just not going to be that close of a game, just because I don't think Baker Mayfield, he's playing up against this Pittsburgh defense. TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, he's going to have so much trouble. I see multiple picks. And honestly, I think it's going to be a pretty handable win for Big Ben and company. I mean, then again, both teams aren't as good as they look. But, yeah, this is going to be an interesting match. Let me tell you. But yeah, so a review of the picks that we have for the Ravens and Titans. We went Ravens, of course, because of just how bad that Tennessee defense is. Lamar and the Ravens are hot. So Ravens. When it went to the Buffalo and Indianapolis game, we went Buffalo because I think Josh Allen, that offense will shut down a pretty tough Indianapolis defense. My favorite one to predict football team, Buccaneers, it's going to be Buccaneers. Seattle and LA. Seattle, because John Wolford's probably going to be a QB. New Orleans and Chicago, it's the Bears. And Cleveland and Pittsburgh, the Steelers. Now let us go to the divisional round. First matchup on tap. Steelers at the Bills. This is where Steelers get completely exposed. Holy crap. I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for the Bills. I think that Josh Allen dices up a seemingly tough the Pittsburgh defense. I don't think Pittsburgh gets much going against this Buffalo defense. I think it's going to be a Buffalo win, and pretty easily they are off to the AFC Championship. And yeah, I think Big Ben has one of those struggling games. He's just not getting any better, He's aging, his elbow, surgery from last year. Yeah, Tommy John, right? It's just going to be tough on him. And that's the reason the Bills are just going to so easily dominate this game. And that's why the Bills, I think, get a pretty easy trip to the AFC Championship. And the other game in the AFC, Ravens and the Chiefs. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. You're going to get two pretty good offenses going at it. Two okay defense. Yeah, Ravens got a good defense, As for the Chiefs, they got Chris Jones, they got Tyrann Mathieu, They've got some guys on the other side of the ball that can do it. But the thing is, but Ravens have great offense, but the Chiefs offense is just so much more dynamic. It's just so good, and you can't go against it. It's gonna be a pretty close game, but I've got to go with the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. Maybe it's the obvious pick for sure, but think about it. Are you going to go against Mahomes and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill? Even add guys like Michael Hardman who changed the offense. You've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He could do something. He could start to go off. It's going to be that good of a game. But honestly, the Chiefs offense takes the cake. It's going to be the Chiefs. And that's why I think they go to the AFC Championship against the Bills. Oh, I can't wait. I hope it's the Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship. That is going to be such a good game. Then we got the Seahawks and the Saints. You got a Seahawks team. They've got Metcalf and Lockett on the offense and Wilson. On the defensive side, Quandre Diggs. Other than that, this is the most horrendous pass defense we've ever seen in history. That's why I think Drew Brees dices it up. This is, once again, I think they're running the offense. But the Saints' defense, with that run defense, Chris Carson isn't going to do much of anything. They're going to have to run the pass. And that is why I think it's going to be tough on the Seahawks, ultimately. Because the Seahawks, I don't know how they're going to go up against this defense. The only reason I had to beat the Rams have a great defense. Why'd they beat the Rams? Because John Wolford was a QB. This is Drew Brees. If you're comparing Drew Brees and John Wolford, let's just say it's not close whatsoever. You're comparing these two defenses, and ultimately, I think the Saints win this one decently. I think this is the year where the Saints don't exactly blow it in the playoffs like they do every year, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Saints don't do anything, not much of anything, or the Seahawks don't do much of anything. I think Wilson will have one of those down games that we've been seeing from him as of late, which is something you don't usually see from Russell Wilson. Like, we like to see someone in those 4 touchdown games, 4 passing games, even rushing for a touchdown maybe. He's doing that as of late. Now he's going up against this tough defense, and he's going to have trouble, and that's why I think the Saints come on top of this one. And they're off to the AFC Championship. Next matchup, you get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, fresh off a win against football team, against the fresh off a bye Green Bay Packers. In fact, you've got a very tough Buccaneers defense, and it's tough to choose because you've got this good of a Packers offense. Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers. That trio right there will probably the best in the NFL, in my opinion. Honestly. So, and then go to Buccaneers, I don't know if Tom Brady wants such a good game. They're going to get a very talented secondary. They might have to go with the run game. Green Bay is not a good run defense whatsoever. So you got guys like Rodgers, Leonard Fournette. Maybe that duo can take over this game and give them a chance. Maybe this defense gives them a chance. And I think Rodgers just has some trouble. I don't know if he'll be able to get it going against this Tampa Bay defense. It's so tough. And honestly, that's why I think that if I had to choose between one of these two teams, it's close, but I'm going with the upset. I've got to go with the Buccaneers. Because this defense, I think, will find a way to stifle Aaron Rodgers and company. And honestly, against this bad run defense for Green Bay, I think Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, that duo finds a way to really pop off, if I'll be honest. And even if I think by this point they will have Mike Evans. So that's just a piece of offense they get back. And that's why I think that the Buccaneers, that's the upset. I'm sorry, Packer fans, but I think that Green Bay, they're going to the NFC Championship. If we go next week, let's start with the NFC in this one. Because we've got a very juicy NFC matchup in the championship, an NFC championship with two division rivals. And is it between the Buccaneers, who might be able to play at Raymond James, their own stadium for Super Bowl, or the Saints? It's the Saints, guys. They pretty much own the Buccaneers throughout the regular season. I think Breeze gets it done again. I mean, it's just this offense. I think it's going to stifle their defense. Alvin Kamara, what's he going to do? Is he going to run it? Is he going to catch it? You don't know. You got Taysom Hill. Is he going to run it? Maybe he'll go the pass. You don't know. What if Michael Thomas starts to pop off? You just don't know. It's just going to be that good for the New Orleans Saints. And that's why I think they don't blow it this year. They're going to the Super Bowl. And that is why I've got the Saints going to the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers, I think they make it past the football team pretty easily. I think they upset the Packers, but they just can't beat the Saints. That's a problem. And the Saints are off the Super Bowl. So congrats, Saints fans. You don't blow it this year. You don't get screwed by refs. You're going to the Super Bowl. Congratulations. For the AFC, Bills, Chiefs. I really hope this is the matchup. This is going to be one heck of a matchup. Okay. You got the number 1 seed Chiefs. You've got the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. Two dynamic offenses and defenses. It's going to be close. You got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. I think the offense for Chiefs goes off. I think the offense for the Bills goes off. But it's going to be tough to choose. But the way that the Chiefs played against the Falcons in Week 16, it was a pretty ugly win. I was going up against a red-hot Bills team, fresh off of a win against they beat the Colts. And if we go back to the last game, they have beat the Steelers. They've got their toughest matchup for sure. It's really tough. It really is. But if I have to choose between one of these two teams, I go Bills. I think this offense with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs can be too dynamic for this Chiefs defense. And yes, the Chiefs have a very good offense. But I think the Bills is slightly more unpredictable. You never know what can happen. What if Devin Singletary and Zach Moss go off because the Chiefs don't have that good of a run defense? It's not that good. And I think one of those two guys rushes for a couple touchdowns. I think that's Zach Moss, if I'll be honest. Devin Singletary is regressing pretty well. He's regressing a lot this season. And I ultimately have to go with the Bills in this one. I think they stifle the Chiefs, and I think we got ourselves this is we got a Super Bowl between the Bills and the Saints. And this is a Super Bowl where it's going to be a good Super Bowl because the winner of this Super Bowl, you're going to be happy with whoever wins. Because you're going to be happy with whoever wins this Super Bowl because both these teams have had such heartbreak in the playoffs, like Bills, 4 straight Super Bowl losses. And Saints, they've won a Super Bowl, yes, but they've been screwed by refs. The Minneapolis Miracle. The Vikings beating them again last year in the wild card round. And honestly, it's going to be tough for it's going to be, it's a Super Bowl where you want to see one of them win. You want to see both of them win for that matter. Because what these teams have had just such problems in the playoffs. And if I choose one of these teams, I go to my dynamic team. That is the Bills. Bills, you've done it. You've won your first Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen just has a great run in the playoffs. I think he dices up this defense. And the thing is, New Orleans has a tough run defense. Pass defense, not as much. But it doesn't matter because the Bills' run offense is not that good. Josh Allen gets the job done. Diggs, I think, has 2-3 touchdowns. I think that combination will be great. Gabriel Davis, I think he has a great game as well. I think they're going to use so many different kinds of methods and strategies on this dynamic Bills offense. It's going to be too much for the New Orleans defense. And Drew Brees, I think he might get the job done But I think Alvin Kamara does have a good game, but ultimately the Bills are just the better team. That's a fact. And honestly, because of this, the Bills, you win Super Bowl 55. You're on top for the first time ever. And I'm just so pleased to say that you've won your very first Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen just cruises through the playoffs. I think Diggs is fantastic. Gabriel Davis, I think you're going to get involved, my guy, because you've had some games where you're doing pretty good. I think Super Bowl's one of them. I think they're going to pull out something unexpected in the Super Bowl where Gabriel Davis will pop off. And so will Diggs, but Davis, you might see with him more targets. And it's going to be something like my Niners did in the Super Bowl like last year, in Super Bowl 54, where Deebo Samuel, he got the ball a lot, like rushing-wise too, to try to pull out something unexpected on the Chiefs. And that's why the 49ers really had the lead, and then they blew it. Let's just say, but let's be honest, there was some pretty, there was a lot of holding Nick Bosa that wasn't called, some pass interference on us that was stupid, like the one George Kittle at the end of the first half, and then there was there was a hit on Jimmy Garoppolo who was held in contact, where you got a concussion or something like that. But anyway, ultimately, they relied on Deebo Samuel. I was ranting so much there. They relied on Deebo Samuel in that game, and they got a 20-10 lead. I think they rely on some lesser guys you wouldn't expect. Gabriel Davis, maybe Zach Moss. And granted, it's a tough New Orleans run defense. The Bills come out on top. And I think the Bills, you finally have your Lamar. Congratulations. And ultimately, at the end of my predictions, Bills, you have won Super Bowl 55. Congratulations, guys. You finally did it. Very happy for you. So those are my predictions. Those are my opinions. You might have seen some interesting picks in there, but ultimately, they're my opinions. If you want to leave your comment section in the comment section below what you think, what you thought should have been like, maybe you want the number one seed Super Bowl, maybe you want the Chiefs and Packers, maybe you want the Bills and the Bears in the Super Bowl, maybe football team makes it, a football team versus, I don't know, Ravens Super Bowl. But those are my opinions. Let me know what you think below. I think the Bills come on top. Bills fans, you're watching this. I think you finally do it this year. I think this is the year. And based on that, be sure to like this, subscribe. I want you to be sure to, like and subscribe. That's all I gotta say. Hope you enjoyed these predictions. Tomato Fam. Stay fresh. Peace out.